So we've covered climate, identity, and so much more. Now let's look at something very deeply human. For working mothers, it's the systems around them that make all the difference. How many mothers here in the crowd? Yeah? So this is for all of you. The next session invites us to look at design through the lens of care. Our speaker is a product designer at Ventura Securities, helping build a stock trading platform from the ground up. She believes good design starts with understanding people, not just the possibilities that tech has to offer. Her research on working mothers and parent child connection was established by Springer, recognized for exploring how equity and care system require systemic design, not just standalone tools. She is someone who draws inspiration from everyday moments, reading, writing, observing, and finding design in the ordinary. Please welcome Manar Jafri.
Okay, wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Manar, and it is a privilege to be standing here today amidst such incredibly talented people. Some of the conversations that I've heard since morning have been so enriching that it's made the 5 hour delayed flight from Mumbai all the more worth it. And I'll make sure that the next 15 minutes are also worth your time and you take away as much as possible from this short little talk that I have. Let me begin by asking you something. If tomorrow you or your organization were to solve for a societal problem or a systemic issue, such as the challenges faced by working mothers in balancing between household and caregiving responsibilities and their work, would you, throughout the process of solving those challenges, think of using design in that process? A lot of us, when we think of design, we always think of it as the finished product, as something that is on the outside, as the packaging, as something that comes at the end of the process. We never think of design as something that is essentially used in the beginning of our problem definition process to truly understand what it is that we are trying to solve. So, a lot of us have this misconception that design is only about aesthetics, which is not always the case. Design is very much about truly understanding people and the systems that define that very problem, that are sitting behind the screen, that are sitting behind that prototype or that tool that we've built for them. Design is about decoding human behavior. It is about finding patterns to truly solve for the person that we have set out to solve that problem for. Technology is great at solving what it can measure. It can help increase productivity, scale up things, improve accuracy, optimization, reduce costs, reduce latency, save your time, increase speed, performance, and so on and so forth. But not all problems are technical. There are some problems that are deeply human. And to truly be able to address those problems, we need to be able to look beyond the surface and truly understand the person who's sitting on the other side of that problem. And design helps us explore what can't be measured: guilt, identity, trust, belonging, fear, cognitive load, societal pressure, decision fatigue. These are all factors that design methodologies, frameworks, design tools can really help us decode. And in today's talk, I'm going to be sharing some of those frameworks, some of those methodologies, some of those tools that we all can embed, integrate into our workflows as and when we try to solve for similar systemic or societal challenges. Now, if we simply look up the data or numbers on the challenges that working mothers face today, we will find that only 18 to 34% married women continue working after having a child, out of which barely 16% women achieve senior leadership roles, and 50% working women end up leaving their jobs to take care of their children by the age of 30. In the year 2021, barely 17.1% board seats were occupied by women in India, and as per the gender parity ranking, India has slipped to the 127th position globally among 146 countries. But here's something that data alone cannot answer. Why? Why is it that despite the intention to want to progress in our careers, working mothers uh, face challenges in doing so? Why is it that women drop out even when policies like maternity leave exists? Why is it that participation falls as seniority rises? Now, if you were part of the talk, the conversation that took place between Rucha and Pooja about how along similar lines, how a lot of the infrastructure or policies or workplaces are designed without keeping women in mind. And it's not that people do it on purpose. It's not that somebody wakes up one day and decides, oh, I don't want women to advance in their careers, I don't want this policy to benefit women. No, it's not that. It's just that we do not truly take into consideration the the workflows, the emotional baggage, the emotional load that goes in the minds of these working women, of women across different stages of their career. And hence, it is very important to be able to decode this before we try and solve for them. Data explains what happens, design helps us explain why. There are a lot of us when we start when we start creating something new, when we start building a new tool, we interview our users, our potential users, we ask them questions, we gather data from them. Interviews help us understand what gets repeated, what makes a person pause, and what they laugh off during those conversations. But a way to truly understand what patterns are going on behind those conversations, one of the most powerful tools is empathy mapping, where you synthesize the data that you get from these user interviews. Empathy mapping helps us synthesize data into four quadrants: what people say, what they feel, what people think, and what people do. Let's take an example. I interviewed a couple of working mothers across different age groups and different stages of their career to understand what was going on behind the scenes. As you can see, a lot of these working mothers said that they want to give their child the motherly touch and care at a very young age. They they say that working long hours may tamper with building emotional connection with their child, and they cannot find a good job because they took a long career break after having children. They think that they want to spend time with their children, they want to excel professionally and be treated without discrimination. They think that fathers should be given equal responsibility of looking after children. What they do is they don't opt for daycare or nanny facilities because either it's unaffordable or they may not trust the process. They manage household, children's studies, they pick them up, drop them off to school, cook food, and a lot of them even had to change work profiles to take up a job that requires commitment of fewer hours. What they feel is that they feel guilty for leaving children at home even when they are sick. They feel pressured to manage work, children, household responsibilities. You see, all of this never comes up in data. When you look up numbers and data online about these challenges or similar systemic or societal challenges, you will never find out these insights. These insights only come when you put them into these quadrants, when you truly try and understand, extract them from these user interviews that you take. So, empathy mapping, through this empathy mapping, the three emerging themes that came up was that emotional load outweighs task load when it comes to working mothers. The challenge isn't just limited to scheduling, and stakeholders like fathers, grandparents, and family dynamics have a very important role to play. which is what brings me to my next framework that is very important when addressing such challenges, which is stakeholder mapping. Because this issue is not something that can be resolved by just keeping a mother in the picture. There are so many dynamics, so many factors that come into play when we talk about the challenges faced by working mothers. Hence, it is very important to define who is the primary target user. In our case, working mothers and children, who are the direct stakeholders, that is, fathers, help, nanny, daycare, and who are the indirect stakeholders, such as grandparents, workplace, and school, that we need to account for when we uh, design for solutions to address these challenges. This isn't just a mother's problem, it is a systemic problem. Next comes user journey mapping. We know that there are different phases that a mother goes through throughout the day. There is morning prep, commute, there is work hours, and evening return. Throughout each one of these phases, there are a lot of things that happen. There are different emotional states that a working mother is in. There are different pain points that she feels. And out of all of this, we get different design insights. Say, for example, during morning prep, a working mother, she has to get the child ready, she has to manage between household tasks and prepare for work. And her emotional state at that very point is that she's rushed, anxious, mentally overloaded, and her what she's suffering from is no buffer time, constant multitasking, guilt before the day even starts. What design insight we can get from this phase is that stress begins before work even starts, and support cannot be limited to just office hours. Then, when she starts commuting to office, she has to think about drop off, she has to have final check ins with families or caregivers. She may feel uneasy, distracted, worried. The fear of something going wrong at home, the guilt of leaving your children at home, no emotional handover into work mode. So, the design insights that we get from this phase is that these transitions can be very heavy moments emotionally, and design must support these shifts and not just the tasks that a mother is performing. When it comes to working hours, she has meetings, deliverables to take care of. Again, guilt, split attention, the fear of being seen as less committed at your workplace, and the reluctance to ask for flexibility. So, the design insight that we get from this phase is that systems reward presence, and uh, emotional labor becomes invisible. When she comes back home in the evening, home responsibilities again resume. There is an emotional reconnection that you have with your child, but you're also exhausted and guilty for leaving them at home. So, no decompression for them, and having to carry the day into the night. Here, the major insight that we get is that the system assumes that energy resets daily, whereas it does not. So, these kinds of mapping, these kinds of insights, mapping out these pain points, these um, emotional states of a mother or of any user in any such scenario helps us understand where the system is actually failing, how in different phases uh, of a system, how different challenges are being faced. Because you cannot solve for everyone, you cannot build something that solves A to Z all the problems. It's always better when you chunk them down, divide them down into different phases, different parts that address specific challenges, specific emotional states, specific um, time at which a certain challenge is being faced. And user journey mapping really helps us funnel down and narrow down to that instance or that specific challenge that we have set out to solve. Lastly, it's very important to not ask what should we build. As innovators, as technologists, as designers also, it's very easy to fall into the trap of solution building, of jumping to the solution, of jumping to how can we completely solve this issue. It's very important to take a step back and ask, how might we? build on from the insights that you get from your research. For example, one of the major insights that we got was that stress does not come from just one moment. It accumulates across small breaks and transitions in the life of a working mother. So the question here that we must ask when building solutions is that how might we reduce friction at the daily transition points between home and work? This again helps us narrow down and funnel down our focus to truly be able to solve for this particular issue. Another example, an insight that we got was that on the outside, working mothers can be seen coping, but on the inside, they feel guilt, anxiety, and constant self monitoring, things that don't come up in your data or your studies. So, the question to ask yourself as a builder, as an innovator, is how might we surface emotional strain early before it turns into burnout or withdrawal? These are just some examples of how it's very important to take a step back and ask these questions before we jump on to building something. How might we gives you the problem clarity, and by asking these right questions you are ensuring that you are building the right solutions. A lot of people think that design comes into the picture after understanding the problem. But in this case, and in a lot of cases when it comes to such systemic or societal challenges, design and design frameworks, methodologies, and tools are truly the way to be able to actually understand the problem, the person behind that problem, and the different challenges that they face. That's all for today. Thank you so much, and I'd love to stay connected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. At such a young age, you're looking so much into mothers. You're helping us zoom out and look at, moving from just looking at, building something meaningful for mothers. So truly
Yes.
appreciate it.
Thank
I'll
you.
call your session chair, Bhagyashree, to give away the little memento for you.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.